Hey, welcome to the garage. So I was browsing Reddit a couple of days ago, and I came across a post on the Guitar Lessons subreddit where the poster shared a picture of a diagram that his guitar teacher had written out for him, and he was kind of struggling to try to make sense of the diagram. Now, the diagram was a little bit cryptic, a little mysterious, and it was kind of sloppily written, so it was hard to see at a glance what the value was. But when I saw it, I kind of recognized the concept that his teacher was trying to communicate to him, and I think it's a really useful and valuable thing for a guitarist to know. So I took some time and I wrote up this big long Reddit post where I went through all the different background knowledge that I felt like you needed to make sense of the diagram. I started from the ground up. I talked about building the major scale from a root note. I talked about coming up with the diatonic chords that go with that key. I did the same thing for the minor scale. And then I kind of explained Roman numeral notation for chords and how we could use those things to make sense of the diagram. And once I laid out all that background, then I felt like I was actually able to kind of explain the concept that this guy's teacher was trying to communicate. So that Reddit post got a lot of really positive feedback. People seemed to really get a lot of value out of what I wrote. And one commenter encouraged me to make a video and kind of demonstrate what I had laid out in the post. So that's what this video is. This is going to be a demonstration of kind of what I wrote. Now, for the purposes of this video, I'm not going to go into all the background knowledge that I laid out in that original post I wrote, because that would just make for a really long video. But what I did do is I took the content of that post and I reformatted it and I added some really nice diagrams and I put that up on my website. And so if you want to get that kind of background knowledge and read through the little kind of music theory crash course that I wrote, then there'll be a link to my site in the description where you can check that out. Now, if you would rather see a video, or if you want to read the post and see a video, I'm also going to include links to 2 Signals Music Studio videos, which I think do a really, really good job of kind of explaining that foundational idea of building diatonic chords from either a major or minor scale. So Jake, the host of the Signals channel, kind of takes you through all that. He does a better job than anything you're going to see from me. So I think between those 2 videos that I'll link and the post, you can get all the background that you're going to need to really deeply understand what we're going to talk about today. So with all that said, let's take a look at this diagram. So I'm going to put this diagram up on the screen over here somewhere, and then we can talk about it. So here's the diagram, and you can see, right, that this is sloppy, and there's some stuff on here that doesn't make sense even to me. I'm not really sure why the teacher, what he meant by the +2 and the +3 over 2. But like I said, right, there is a very valuable little nugget of information that this diagram is communicating. So let's replace this one with a nicer one that I made. Here's my diagram, and this is basically the same information, but it's just a little easier to read. So what is this thing? What is this diagram all about, and what is this trick that I'm referring to? Well, I guess in a sentence, what this shows you is an easy way of figuring out the diatonic chords of any given key on the guitar by using these 2 scale shapes, one major and one minor, as a kind of reference or mnemonic device. So there's a couple things that you need to know before you can really make use of this. And the first one is just knowing this scale shape, right? You need to, be able to play it and have it under your fingers, and that's pretty easy to learn. The next thing that you need to know is that for any given major or minor key, there is a set of 7 chords that are kind of valid in that key. They're composed entirely of notes from the key. And those 7 chords are what we call the diatonic chords of that key. So once you know those 2 things, you also need to know that some of those diatonic chords are going to be major, and some of those diatonic chords are going to be minor. And we're not going to get into the how and why in this video of why some of those chords are major and some of those chords are minor. Although that is a really interesting kind of piece of music theory that's well worth learning, but it's just kind of outside the scope of this video. So what we're going to do instead is we're just going to reference our diagram, and what we're going to, the rule that we're going to follow is that scale notes that have an uppercase Roman numeral associated with them are going to get a major chord, and scale notes that have a lowercase Roman numeral get a minor chord. And you might notice in these two diagrams that there is also one other chord, the 7th degree of the major scale and the 2nd degree of the minor scale, which have this little extra symbol. And what that symbol is it indicates that that degree gets a diminished chord. Now we're not going to talk about diminished chords in this video. We're going to basically just pretend they don't exist. I will play them just as part of the demonstration. But that's all. This is the last time you're going to hear me talk about diminished in this video. I think, you know, in the context of like kind of rock music and pop music, you just don't hear them very often. So it's kind of safe to ignore them while you're in the kind of basic mode of learning music theory. Okay, so here we have these two scale shapes, and let's just get started, and we're going to kind of work through an example of what I mean when I say you can use these to find the diatonic chords. So we are going to start with the major scale shape, and we're going to choose A as our root note. So that means that we're going to be playing the A major scale. So we're going to start this shape in the diagram on the 5th fret of the 6th string. That's an A, and this is what it sounds like when we play that out loud. Okay, so bog standard major scale, nothing revolutionary happening here, right? Now what we're going to do is we need to figure out the names of the notes that we just played. So what we're going to do is we're going to play that major scale, and we're going to say the name of the note out loud as we play it. So when we play the A major scale, the notes that we play are A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. Okay? So that is the A major scale. So now if we look at our diagram and we remember this whole idea that uppercase numerals get a major chord and lowercase numerals get a minor chord, we can use our 5th and 6th string rooted bar chord shapes to play through the diatonic chords of the key. So let's kind of look at this diagram, and what we're going to do is we're going to play this scale one more time, and we're going to say the name of the note, but we're going to say actually the name of the chord that we would play for that note, the name of the chord that we would play for that degree in the scale. So if we do that for the A major scale, what we're going to get is A major, because that 1 is capitalized, B minor, because that 2 is lowercase, okay? C sharp minor, D major, E major, F sharp minor, G sharp diminished, and A. Okay, so let's hear what that sounds like. And again, we're going to use those bar chord shapes to play through these chords. A major, B minor, C sharp minor, D major, E major, F sharp minor, G sharp diminished, A major. Okay? So that's kind of the whole idea. So now let's try this out for the minor scale. We're going to kind of go through the same series of exercises with the A minor scale. We're going to start on that A note on the 6th string, and we're going to play through the scale shape. So that's going to go like this. Okay? And now we're going to play through it again, and we're going to say the name of each note as we play it. So the notes in the A minor scale are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Okay, and now if we look at the diagram, we can kind of do the same Roman numeral trick. Now one thing to be aware of here is that the positions of the major and minor chords are swapped around a little bit. So if we look at our diagram and we play through that scale again, we're going to say the name of each chord that we would play, and we're going to get the following chords. We will get A minor, B diminished, C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor. All right, so let's hear how that sounds. So here's that. A minor, B diminished, C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, and then we're going to end on our A minor. Okay, so that right there is the entire idea. And when I say this is a trick, it's not really a trick. I mean, there's no trickery going on. The trick is just knowing kind of these two facts. You need to know that major scale shape, and you need to know which notes in that shape get either a major or a minor chord. And if you know that, then you can move this shape around to any root note on the 6th string, and you can really easily figure out what the chords in the key are going to be. Okay? So this is a trick only in the sense that this is the kind of thing that only works on the guitar, or at least, only works on instruments that are laid out like the guitar. Because the way that the guitar works, we can move these scale shapes around up and down the 6th string. If you think of like a piano, I can't just take a shape and move it over one key and expect it to still have all the same relationships between the notes. That's just not how that instrument works. So this is a really useful thing for guitar players because it lets us get a really quick fix on those diatonic chords in any given key. So as an example, let's try moving this shape to a different place and figure out the chords for a different key. So if we do G major, if we start on the G note on the 6th string, that's the 3rd fret on the 6th string, and we play that G major scale shape, okay, and if we talk through those notes, that's going to be G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. And once again, if we look at our diagram and, say the right chord name, what we're going to get is G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp diminished, G. Okay, so let's play through those chords. So now we're going to have a G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp diminished, G major. Okay, so that's it. I mean, you can move this around anywhere and you can easily figure out the names of the chords that you're going to play in any given key. If you want to figure it out for the key of B flat, then you start the shape on the B flat. If you want to figure it out for, E, then you start the shape on the E, and so on and so forth. Now, one other thing I'll demonstrate is there are going to be places where your bar chords are maybe not the best voicings or the best fingerings for the chords you want to play, right? So like as an example, if I come up here to the 12th fret E and I play that minor scale, okay, then I can figure out the chords in the key of E minor. So those are going to be E, F sharp to E major, or E minor, F sharp diminished, G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor. Okay? Now, if I start trying to make bar chords down here on the 12th fret, I'm going to have trouble making them sound right. But that's okay. You don't have to necessarily play them as bar chords, right? You could just, go through these notes with open chords, right? So I could play E minor. I'm going to skip the B diminished. Then I got a G major. Okay, then next is an A minor. Then a B minor. Then a C major. D major. And then an A minor. or an E minor. Okay, so you can, once you use this trick to figure out the names of the chord, you can play them anywhere you want. That's the point. Okay, so that's it. That's the whole idea. The entire point of all this churn over these diagrams and all this music theory write-up is to just get your mind around the idea that those major and minor scale shapes make a really useful mnemonic device for figuring out the diatonic chords in major and minor keys. And all you need to know is those two shapes and then which degrees get which tonality of chords, i.e., whether they're major or minor. So if this is interesting to you, then that's great. And I hope it was useful for you. If you want to get some more of that context, I really recommend checking out the links in the description. I think my post does a pretty great job of laying out the kind of basics of how we build chords and how we refer to them with Roman numerals. And I think the Signals Music Studio videos are also really, really valuable stuff. So I think this is a great trick for any guitarist to know. I use this all the time. Anytime I'm playing in an unfamiliar key, and even sometimes when I'm playing in a familiar key, I frequently, use this to figure out what the chords are and how they relate to one another. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you get some value out of it. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.